Hi there, in today's short video I'm going to explain to you why it's not always a good idea to use one of these guide rail stops for marking inboard dominoes when you're using a rail as a reference point. That's coming up next. So I did a video recently where I explained about how I use the drop down rail on the MFT as a straight edge to guide my domino against, and particularly for inboard dominoes on the inside edge, where you're working off a pencil line rather than off the pins or the paddles. Instead of hunting around for a pencil line on the actual workpiece, you can mark the same pencil line on the rail itself and use the scribe line on the domino base plate to line up against that. I had a couple of people ask me in the comments if it isn't then possible to use one of these little guide rail stops as the reference, and the truth is yes, you can use that, but with some reservations. So let me explain what they are now. First of all, let's just recap. The reason I'm doing this is to do both sides of a carcass at the same time, so you don't have to have flags on the fence or anything. You can literally, I just taped the two sides of the carcass together so they didn't move. And doing them that way, because you're doing them at the same time on a dead square, dead level rail like this, it doesn't actually matter if your pencil mark, if your domino guide is just a fraction off the pencil mark, because they'll both be identical by doing them together at the same time. That means though that if you wanted to use, obviously you've got your outboard edge like this, and if you wanted to put one inboard, you could set up the rail stop like that, and that would work fine. But when it comes to doing the other side, well, the referencing off the edge of the board is fine, but doing the center, suddenly the stop is in your way. So there is absolutely a limit to the size of board you can use using this method. And if you're doing one at a time, it's about, with this little rail stop, it's about 450 mil before this rail, the rail stop itself isn't actually in the way. Now I actually made some of these myself in video number 073, I think. So, and obviously these were designed as rail stops rather than references, and this is actually bigger even than this one. So you could, of course, make these smaller, which would help a little bit, but it's still not going to get it down that much. Now, if you're putting dominoes inboard in, say, a wardrobe carcass, and obviously it's a bigger piece, then you're probably going to be working off a flag stop on the fence. Then that would actually work. That would save you putting a pencil mark on the rails, because you've got 450 or 500 deep on each side. But that's the fundamental problem of using these kind of rail stops for this sort of thing on a narrow carcass like this. It's just not practical. You're much better off working off a pencil mark actually marked on the rail like this. So yeah, that's it. That's why I don't use these guide rail stops when I'm using the domino against a rail like this as a reference point. It's just easier and simpler to work off a pencil line, especially with a slightly wider setting. You just don't need to be that accurate. But that's it for this week. Thanks for watching this short video, and I'll see you next time. Take care.